Hey there, Queens. Yes, I'm jumping on live today. I didn't announce it, so I hope you'll jump in here with me because we're going to talk about the steps that you need to take in order to walk towards emotional self care. And we're going to do that in just one moment. Hi there, I'm Marcyline Bailey, and I am your host of Stress Talk Live. This is the place where we help women over 40 to live healthier lives through strategic stress management and solution focused self care. I'm doing something a little differently today. I just jumped on. I didn't announce it. I usually announce that I'm going live. I didn't announce it today. So I hope if you did know it, you know it now. You see it, see that I am live. Join me, join me, join me, join me, or watch the replay. We're going to be talking about a topic that I think is very important, especially to Black women, women who look like me. And I think it'll be something that can be very helpful to you. So, we're going to begin this series today with just a little bit of introduction and a little foundation building. Before we get started, however, as always, like, follow, and subscribe to ML Bailey Consultants on Facebook, Instagram, as well as YouTube. Also, this is going to be very important. Make sure you take down this link because I'm going to share some things with you today that you will find at this link. So make sure you take this link down, and I will also make sure that I'll also make sure, that I also share it again near the end of our session together today. You can also find me at this website. It's ML Bailey Consultants. You'll find out a little bit more about me. So today we are talking about 3 steps that Black women should take towards emotional, and I'm going to put this in here. I'm going to, a point of disclosure here. Um, and you can probably hear me typing. Um, I, I thought about this because it's really something that has been on my mind um, this week. And um, I procrastinated. So I apologize for that. Self care. And so here we go. Here's the title, I think. Here we go. Here's the title. 3 steps Black women should take towards emotional self-care. So this has been on my mind and it's been on my heart. And I think it's an important topic. Hello to those viewers out there. I'm glad you're here and you've joined me. It's been something that's on my mind and my heart. As you know, um, we have Kamala Harris in the news, right? Because she is running for the office of President of the United States, one of the highest offices in the country. And this is an emotional thing for many Black women, I believe, in this country. It's emotional for me because I understand what she might be going through in terms of how people are viewing her. She's an accomplished woman. She is an attorney. She has been in the political light for a number of years, and people are saying they don't know her. They don't know much about her, which may be true. Although she's been vice president for the past 3 years, they don't know her. They don't know much about her. And they're questioning, of course, her ability, rightfully so, her ability to lead this country. However, there's some undercurrent things. There's some undercurrents going on too, right? Where she is not being judged by the content of her character, but by what she looks like and what people have grown to believe about people who look like her. And so this is a very emotional time for women like myself because we know what that experience is like. And for those of you who are watching, this is really just an overview. And it's not going to be you can tell that I'm getting a little choked up about it. This is not, it's an overview, and it's not going to be a session where we're bashing others. No. The time with me today and in subsequent weeks while we're dealing with this topic is how we as Black women can take better care of ourselves, not just physically, but emotionally, because we hold so much in. And I'm going to tell you, I deal with, thank you for the thumbs up. I deal with and I see women every day in my private practice who are like this. You know, they're like this. You can tell they're strained. You can tell there's so much that they're just trying to hold in. They're sad. They're hurting. They're depressed. They're anxious, but they're holding all of this in because they fear that if they at some point should let it all go, should let it out, they won't be able to put that stopper back in the bottle. They won't be able to gather themselves. They feel that they will be totally out of control. And that is not a healthy way to live. It's just not. It is not a healthy way to live. And so, because of where I am currently, in terms of what's on my heart, I want to share some things that I've learned, some things that I've practiced, as well as some things that I know I need to do better with when it comes to my emotional health. And so, with that being said, let's get started here. And I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to let it out. And I'm going to invite you all to do the same. Just take a deep breath with me. And let it out. Okay. Ooh, all right. I know you all could tell that it's an emotional thing. And it is an emotional thing for so many of us because of who we are. So here we go. Here we go. I'm talking about 3 steps Black women should take towards emotional self-care. And I want to give an introduction to this, although I did kind of give an introduction to it. But I want to give an introduction just to kind of lay a foundation. First and foremost, I want to talk about the messages we as Black women received over the years from the people we look towards for our sustenance, for our nurture. And by that, I mean our parents, our mothers, our fathers, our grandparents, our aunts, our uncles, the neighbor next door, the neighbor down the street, the people in our community, the messages that we received growing up, and all the messages that we give to other women and to our own children. One of those messages, and first I need to also set this up, is the messages that we get are part of the Superwoman schema. And I think if you've not heard me talk about it, the Superwoman schema was developed by a professor at the University of North Carolina, Dr. Cheryl Woods Gisombe. She is a nurse. She has a PhD. She's a researcher, and she studied she developed this schema or this framework to as she looked at stress among African American women who had pre-diabetes. And it's really fascinating because it so describes us. It describes us. It describes how Black women operate. Excuse me. And so the messages that I'm going to share with you are really consistent with the Superwoman schema. I need to get some water. And again, this is a conceptual framework that was developed by Black women researchers. Basically, what they did is they put together focus groups of Black women and talked to them about their health as well as stress and how they operate, how they go through their day. And what they found is that there were 5 or so predominantly important ways of thinking that Black women operated under. One of those ways was that Black women felt they had an obligation to manifest strength. The second was there was an obligation to suppress their emotions. And the third was an obligation to help others. And then there were a couple of others, such as putting themselves on hold to be available to others. So there were other things, but these were the 3 primary things: an obligation to manifest strength, an obligation to suppress emotions, and an obligation to help others. The reason this is so important is because the messages that we receive consistently from our parents in our community, especially the women in our lives, have been, we have to be strong. We have to be strong. No matter what, the woman has to be strong. The woman has to be the backbone of the family. The woman has to be the foundation of the family. And that's what has been internalized, and that's what we do. The other, we don't show emotions. That's because we have to suppress them. Why? In my conversations with women that I talk to and women that I provide therapeutic services for, we suppress our emotions because we don't want to upset the people around us. If we're upset, then they will become upset. If we show emotions, they will show emotions. They look at us to be strong. They look at us for support. And so we have to be like that tree that stands without showing that we're hurting, without showing how we feel, without showing that we're frustrated. We have to what? Suppress it. As I said initially, so many women that I work with in therapy come to me and they're just trying to hold those emotions in, and they're struggling to hold them in because it's overwhelming, because they're afraid that, again, if it comes out, they won't be able to stop it, they won't be able to put it back, and that they'll just completely fall apart because there's so much. So the messages that we received over the course of our lifetime as Black women, we have to portray strength, and we cannot show emotions. Also, we can't be vulnerable. We cannot be helpless. If our tire needs to be changed, then by golly, we better know how to change that tire, because nobody else is going to do it for us, or we may not have someone else to do it for us. I am very fortunate in that I have a husband who loves me dearly, who will change my tire. My husband also loves me enough to make sure that I know how to change my tire. But in many of our lives, especially, when you're single, and I was single a long time, I had to know how to change my own tire. So we can't be vulnerable. We can't be on the side of the road with a broken down car and not know how to fix it. Anybody who has watched the movie, and I can't think of the name of the movie, I'll come back to that. But what we know is we can't be vulnerable. We can't show vulnerability. The other reason we can't show vulnerability is because many of us have a belief that if we are vulnerable, people will take advantage of us. And we cannot allow that. We have too much at stake to be taken advantage of. Another message that we've gotten over the course of our lifetime is that we can't say no. We have to be available to everybody, all of our family members, and oftentimes we will put ourselves on hold, what we need on hold to take care of what a family member needs. So we must be available at all times, and we cannot say no. So think about how those messages that we've received over time affects us and affects us emotionally. Think about it. Have you ever had a time in your life when you wanted to say no because it was in your best interest to say no, and you didn't because you were taught that you had to be available to your family member? Just drop it in the chat. Say, that's me. That was me. I had that, if that's the case. If you're watching on the replay, drop it in the chat. That was me. But these are the messages that we've received over time and that play into our emotional health. We must be strong at all times. We can't show emotions. We have to suppress them. We cannot allow ourselves to appear vulnerable, and we have to be available at all times to our families and to friends. We can't say no. All of these things wear on us emotionally. So, what about self-care? Let's talk about that a little bit. We've talked about the messages that we've received over time. What about self-care in itself? How was that modeled? My mother got her hair done every 2 weeks. That was her pattern. Every 2 weeks, she got her hair done. And she had beautiful hair. My mom had beautiful hair. It's a little shorter now because she's older. She's near 90, but she has this little short gray fro. It looks cute. Cute on her. She's cute. My mom is cute, always has been. Um, but she got her hair done every 2 weeks on Saturdays. And then when I was of age, she started taking me get my hair done every 2 weeks. This is a pattern. My aunt does her nails every every week. She has her nail polish by her bed and she does her nails every week. As a matter of fact, when I was younger and I spent the night over my aunt's house, she let me do my nails. That was a big deal. She was the first person who allowed me to do my nails. My mother had not allowed me to do my nails, but my aunt did. I thought I was cute. I think my mom got a little upset about that, but we got past it. But my aunt would always let me do my nails. That's a form of self care. Getting your hair done is a form of self care. Also, the way we dress and the way we appear, our appearance is very, very important to us. Having our hair a certain way, having our nails look a certain way, and having our clothing just right, at least the way we like it, is a form of self care. These things were modeled in front of us. For example, we didn't go outside with our hair looking all kinds of way. We had to have our hair combed and neat. We certainly didn't go to school as young kids any kind of way. Our clothes were always clean, neat, and pressed. Yes. Our shoes were shined. I had to shine my shoes every Sunday to get them ready for the week. But there was a way we had to present ourselves in terms of how we were dressed. That was modeled before us. And yes, that is a form of self-care, making sure we were clean, bathed, and just perfectly groomed. Maybe not perfectly, but well groomed. That's a better phrase. When it came to mental health and our emotions, in our community, we don't always deal with that openly. Why? Because we have to present strength, we suppress our emotions, we cannot show vulnerability. And so, and there's a stigma when it comes to mental health and mental illness. There's a misunderstanding. Mental health is just that, health. Mental illness is a phrase that's used for conditions, mental conditions. And because of that, as a community, we don't always deal with issues or concerns around mental health and mental illness. We also have this thing where when it comes to emotions, anyone who shows overt emotions or excessive emotions, we wonder what's wrong with them. Well, what's wrong with them? What's going on with them? Girl, something's going on because you're just crying all the time. We have to put a label on it when it is not always conducive. We need to learn more about mental health, mental illness, and how our emotions work. We've been given emotions for reasons. Emotions are part of us, and we need to understand them. And in the next few weeks, I'm going to talk about understanding our emotions. So stay tuned because we're going to go into that. We're going to go into it deep. So we've talked about, because our time is getting short, we've talked about the messages we've gotten over the years. We've talked about what was modeled in terms of self-care before us over the years. Now, I want to talk about 3 steps that we can take excuse me, 3 steps that we can take to towards our emotional self-care. The first is we need to be aware of our thoughts and our thought patterns. Our thoughts are our thoughts come from our core beliefs. And our core beliefs are those things that we think we believe deep down inside, that gut, that thing we believe, those things we believe deep down inside of us. They're often those things that drive us and cause us to think a certain way. Unfortunately, those thoughts can be so fleeting, we do not recognize that we're thinking them. And so it's very difficult for us when we start feeling a certain way to explain why we're feeling that way, because we had a thought, but it's gone. And that thought is born out of a core belief that we have. And I will talk more about that in the upcoming weeks. But we want to be aware of our thoughts, what we're thinking. We want to be aware of how we're thinking. What's the pattern? What contributes to those thoughts? What triggers those thoughts? How extensive are those thoughts? How pervasive are those thoughts? We want to be aware of our thought life. That's the first step in that we should take towards emotional self-care. The second step is that we should also become aware and acknowledge our feelings and our emotions. Remember, I said that we suppress those emotions, and I talked about women who I see who come to my practice, and they're like this because they're trying to hold those emotions and those feelings in. We want to acknowledge how we feel. There is research that says that when we acknowledge what we feel, that helps to relieve those feelings. When I can say I'm frustrated, that helps lower that stress level and relieve those feelings. But when I'm holding it in, it's going to be there until it comes out. And it's going to come out somehow. How does it come out? Well, it either comes out in irritability, it comes out in shortness of temper, it comes out in inability to sleep restfully, it comes out in having stomach problems, it comes out in not wanting to eat, it comes out in feeling in sadness, anxiety, depressed mood. It's going to come out somehow. So we want to be aware and be able to acknowledge our feelings and our emotions, because that helps us. It's like a safety valve. The third step is when we're listening to a friend or a family member talk about how they're feeling, we want to be able to listen to them without correcting them or critiquing what they're saying. How many times, and this is a question, how many times have you tried to express yourself and how you were feeling and you were told, oh, you shouldn't feel that way? Or you heard, I don't know why you feel that way. Or, oh, you know how they are. Or, I think you should do X, Y, and Z. In other words, you should fix the issue. Because although they have the issue, you should fix it. We have to learn to listen without feeling the need to correct or feeling the need to critique or feeling the need to make the person you're listening to the object of the concern. Because oftentimes Black women just want to be heard. They may not be asking for an answer because you may not know it, and they know that. But they just want to be heard. They want acknowledgement that, girl, I hear you. I see you. I may not agree with you, but I hear you. Something you got to work through, but I hear you. Oftentimes, that's what we need. Just someone who will listen without correcting or without critiquing. So we are at the end of our time. I want to share this with you, if I may. Let's see if I can do this. I want to share. Let's see. I'm going to try to. Nope. Let's see if I can do this. Here we go. Here, let's share this with you. Okay. This is, I'm going to put it on full. There. Okay. This is a list or covers of books about emotional self-care for Black women. And you can find these titles in my bookshop. I want you to go to this link. Go to this link. And I'm going to leave that up there for just a few seconds. Go to this link and you will find a link to my bookshop that has these titles. They're all about emotional self-care for Black women. As you can see, there's quite a few here, right? 9 titles. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 12. There are 12 titles here, and they're all about emotional self-care for Black women. I have not read all of them. I do have a few of these titles. So I want to invite you to check them out again at this link. And as I said previously, I think this will help you as you begin your journey of emotional self-care. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's program, Self-Talk with Marcyline. I'm so glad that you joined me. As I said before, I just hopped on. Next week, I'll get back to my regular routine where I announce that I'm going to be on. And we're going to continue this discussion. And it is a discussion. I want to hear from you. Tell me what you think about this episode. Drop it in the comments. Drop it on my Facebook page, on my YouTube page. Just drop it in there because I want to hear from you. I will also put the link to my bookshop in my YouTube and on my YouTube page for this, excuse me, for this broadcast. But that's all for now. I'm so glad that you joined me. I look forward to seeing you again next time. That's Marcyline Bailey. That's all for now. Take good care.